Hey guys, Abby from Motor City Nerds here, and I reacted to the Wednesday trailer, but Netflix blocked me and was like, yeah, no. I just cranked that out. I'm just going to talk about it for a few minutes. I thoroughly enjoyed this. I thought this was super fun, and I respect anything that can entertain a 13-year-old all the way to a 90-year-old. There's something to be said for that. I also think, because Tim Burton didn't direct this entire thing, he directed 4 of them, but Tim, my dude, I love you. And I do think this is the best directing you've done in over a decade. The cast, I really love, there's just a few things that I really loved about it. The fact that we acknowledge the fact that this family, his name's Gomez, they're Hispanic, and like really going into that a little bit, just with, even with little things, like saying that when Morticia says to Wednesday, obsidian, it was used by Aztec blood priests and rituals, and it's like, okay. And then even farther on, I was thoroughly enjoyed by this, but the little things and the little quirks that they gave this iteration of the Addams family in their characters, I loved everything about it, but it stayed true to the Addams family. Catherine Zeta-Jones was killing it. I really loved this making it normal that werewolves and vampires and stuff are really around, because we'll hear the Addams family talk about that stuff, but we don't see it, you know what I mean? And this time we got to see it, and I really liked it, and I really like that nobody questions it. It's just the world that we're in. It establishes that this is a known thing, and I loved it. Also, this is embarrassing. I was tying every other connection back. Like when they said Goody, I was like, oh, like Goody Proctor, The Crucible, Witches. I see what you're doing there. I like that little nod. I was past the Poe Cup before I realized Nevermore is from The Raven by Edgar Allan Poe. And I'm like, I am a moron. I am such a dumb moron. But there was a ton of little things like that that just tied back to either like witch stories or vampire stories, just little names and things like that that I really loved. But the acting was great. This was a fun story that they could, honestly, and I stand by this, I think this is the best thing that Netflix has done alone since Stranger Things season 1. And that's a big thing to say. And at first I was like, you kind of pissed me off because I tried to react to your trailer and you wouldn't let me, Netflix, and you told me I couldn't. If you guys look it up, you might be able to find it, but it was like, you're blocked from posting this, but it's still up, but we're not going to share it like out to the world, and that annoyed me. And then everybody was like, no, it's great. And then when Charles at work, who is the nicest guy ever, but I think he's in his 40s, and so this is like a middle-aged black man, he comes up and he's like, dude, you're not caught up on this? And I was like, Wednesday? No, I'm just starting it. And he's like, I can't believe I'm ahead of you on something. This is so good. I love it. And I'm like, okay, so different people are really digging this. Then I made a post about it, and everybody was like, no, I love Wednesday. And I was like, no, this is popular. And then on break, I heard everybody talking about it. And like I said, I say this all the time. Working at the plant and being around 1,000 people a shift is how I really gauge if people are digging something or not the internet. Like, yes, the internet is helpful, but sometimes people are just willy-nilly out here yelling about stuff and have 19 accounts that they're logging into. You know what I'm saying? And that's cool. You do you. But when I hear real people saying stuff, I'm like, oh, so this is, or I'll be like, oh, a lot of men are watching this show, and it kind of surprises me. Like, do you want to know what a lot of men, what was it? Like, they yelled at me at work. They were like, shut up about 13 Reasons Why. I'm now caught up, and I was like, what? I was like, I just didn't think that was your jammy. Just didn't. Okay, that's cool though. And then like 4 other dudes were like, yeah, shut up, I don't want it spoiled. And I was like, oh my god, okay, well, okay then. And there was another one though that really took me back, and every man in the plant was watching it, and I was like, what? Which one was it though? Was it You? It wasn't You on Netflix. It was something else, but I was like, I don't think you guys are the demographic, but this, whatever. You like what you like, you know what I mean? I'll remember it by the end of this, I hope. But yeah, that's how I really gauge something. So like I said, when I saw this many people talking about Wednesday, I was like, okay, I'm more open to it now, where it just irritated me before. But from the jump, I loved it. I was like, I'm having a good time. It's a fun little mystery. But then the twists it started taking, I was like, oh, I thought I was at the finale at one point, and it was great. And then I was like, oh no, we have more to go. And I just really loved that. And I loved this, because this is what the Addams Family is all about, is even if you're a freak, even if you're weird, even if you're different, we love you anyway. And this weird, creepy, crazy family ends up being like the most healthy family we see on screen in previous iterations. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, yeah, we're all freaks, but we're accepting of each other. We might have our flaws and we're weirdness, but that's like the irony of the Addams family. You're picking up what I'm laying down? So making that on a large scale with a teen audience at a school, I really liked that. I really liked taking that message and making it bigger of accepting each other, but then the message of generational trauma passed down, or breaking the cycles of abuse or whatever go on. Bianca and her mom. We have the absentee father of what's his name, Xavier. We have Eugene and his mom or moms, and then we have and we see all these different interactions with parents and how they've affected their children. Best friend, Enid, love her, great. And that's the other thing too, the opposing looks of people. Morticia and Brienne of Tarth, the headmaster. Enid and Wednesday, and that happens a lot of these parallel flip-flopsies of opposites being around each other, and I like that. But yeah, Enid and her mom and dad, and all these different relationships that these kids have with their parents and how it affects them. Not only that, but Wednesday feeling like she can't live up or does not want to live in the shadow of her mother. She wants to be different from her, and learning about that and becoming her own person. Every message in this was a hitting on all cylinders, but it was still fun. And the Addams family, I loved this. The fact that Christina Ricci wasn't blatantly Christina Ricci, very smart. I like that. Uncle Fester, the actor from, was it Portlandia? He was great. Because I was nervous. I was like, we haven't seen Uncle Fester. They've been avoiding Uncle Fester, which means he's going to get revealed later on in a big way, or maybe not even in this season. And I was like, Christopher Lloyd is he's hard to outdo as Uncle Fester. And then I forget his name, but I really, really loved him as this character. I really did. I liked that. Oh, this did not shy away from nodding to the original show, the movies that came out before it. It did not shy away from that, like having the Pilgrim world. And having the nod, I felt like using that was smart, but that also adds to the Crucible theme, and then her name being Goody. I see you there. We can get into that if you guys want to. Let me know in the comments. But I felt like there was a couple shots where I was like, they were doing a nod to, hey, it's Thanksgiving Day, and Wednesday going off and going, your people did this while my people suffered. And that's a great scene from that movie. And I liked how they used that backdrop in this. But like I said, there was just a couple shots at Pilgrim World where I was like, oh no, you're paying homage to that. And then there was a couple other times where I was like, no, you are nodding to or paying homage to things that were done in these other iterations of the characters, and I really like that. Not just the base original characters that I'm talking about, like nods to the movies, nods to the other ones. You know what I mean? And I really liked that. I love I love diving deeper into fencing and why we know that and why it became a thing we did, and just little stuff like that, because it was always just like, they're out there and they just do whatever, and that's always really cool. And it always works. That's the fun part about the Addams family, is you don't have to question why they do or not do something, because they're just out there. But I thought this was great. I thoroughly enjoyed this. This is how I keep explaining it to people that haven't watched it yet. I'm like, it's like Hogwarts, but for monsters. Kind of like, I don't know if it's like Monster High, because I was too old for that when that became a thing, but I'm like, I feel like it's like that. But yeah, it's just, I really liked the messages, and it's beautifully done. It's visually stunning to look at, and that's what I mean. Tim Burton did a really good job with direction here, and I do think that he probably had a lot of say in the overall look and vibe, and it didn't feel like, oh, here's Tim Burton again. It felt like a new thing, and I really enjoyed it. I truly did, and I'm telling everybody, like, no, check Wednesday out. It's really just a fun time. It's just a fun, good time, and like I said, it has a couple great messages. There's a few things this is saying, but on top of already being like I said, the quirky Addams family of accepting each other, they had other things they were saying, and like just the basic teen of stuff of how about be kind to each other. Oh, I loved them involving social media and stuff. Like they they really knocked it out of the park here, and it was firing on all cylinders, and it worked, and I had a great time watching it. But yeah, I just wanted to say that really quick. I don't know if you want to call it a review, or a recap, or a reaction, or what, but no, it's, and that, that was the big one that I loved. When freaking Morticia shows up, and Catherine Zeta-Jones was great, and they're talking to the cops, and I was like, oh, that was good. It was when she said, and they don't harp on this because, like I said, I think it's mainly for like teens and stuff, but I loved that they said it, and it's when she says to him, because you're the reason women like me don't get believed, and I was like, oh, snap, Addams Family, you're really saying stuff here. And there was a few times where they did stuff like that, just little scenes, and I was like, I love this. I love it. Everybody looks great. Everybody's acting great. I hope they do a second season. And Tim Burton, don't get too crazy. Don't get too stick to what you know, bud. And I'm glad they have two directors. Like I've been saying with the James Gunn stuff with DC and Kevin Feige and Marvel. I've been saying the reason Marvel is struggling is because Kevin Feige has it all on his shoulders. And if he could find his Dave Filoni like George Lucas has, and there was two people working on this, I don't think Marvel would be spread as thin as it is right now. DC, it's smart to have a producer and a director, somebody who knows what it's like to be behind that camera, somebody who knows what it's like to deal with that stuff, and a producer at the helm of this universe. I think that's smart. With a series, I think it's smart to have two main people running it. And Tim Burton, and I'm sorry that I don't know the other director, I just hopped on here because I'm geeked. You guys did great, and you obviously worked very well together, and you guys nailed. I couldn't tell where Tim Burton stopped and they started. And it's easier when you're taking on a big magnitude thing like that to have two people. Think of any job you've ever had. Even, I don't know, raking leaves in your yard or shoveling the snow. Is it easier with one person or is it easier with two? It's just, and it takes some of the pressure off the other person so you can perform better. So yeah, I love this. And I'm happy with Motor City Nerds. Like, share, comment, subscribe. I think we're going to play some Final Fantasy. I got some videos coming out for you guys, except I'm supposed to work extra days and I think I'm dying. My arm, I couldn't even move it when I woke up this morning. It was rough.